Sushi Grade does the EV calculation for you. And just as a disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by Sushi Grade, but I do have an affiliate link in the description. So if you do sign up, it will support the channel. If we go into grading and go over to CGC, you'll find a bunch of different filters in which you can move around to figure out which cards you want to look at. We'll go filter by filter. For the pristine rate, CGC 10 rate, and CGC 9 rate, this is the rate at which you expect to get. This isn't filtering the cards out, as if you go to different cards, some will be a lot harder to grade straight from the factory than others. This is just what you're putting in as your expected rates. For example, this Pikachu has roughly a 9% pristine rate for CGC and about 50% gem rate for PSA. But if you go to a different card, this Gyarados, for example, only 1% of cards submitted to CGC have received a pristine 10. So it changes depending on what cards you pick, how new they are, and how they come from the factory. If you're looking more for Y era cards around mid to late 2010s, I think 5% is roughly a good rate, with, say, a 30% 10 rate to be conservative. And then choose your years, your profit range that you're looking for. You can put in your min raw price, max raw price. So what I'm going to do for this is not going to pay more than, say, $200 for a card. You can change your volume. I'm going to go average volume to high volume. Grading cost, I'm going to change it to 20 for the CGC. I'm including eBay fees in the calculation so we don't have to calculate that ourselves. And the rest look good. I'm actually going to hide foreign cards just because those are a lot easier to grade in higher ratings due to their factories. So now, what do we do with the cards that we have? So for example, this Gyarados EX 123. Is worth about 144. CGC 10 is about 932, and the Pristine is about $4,300. And using these rates that we put in here, it then calculates the EV for us of $347. Now, if we go on eBay, we can actually see some recent listings, and we can see that that's pretty accurate in terms of pricing. Here's a pristine that went for $3,400, and then two CGC 10s, one for $1,250, one for $1,550. So what I'd then do once I narrowed down a card that I'd want is I'd go on eBay and start looking at raw copies and trying to just assess them, seeing if there is a chance that they can 10. So click on this, take off CGC 10 so we get the raw results. And then with some of these lower priced ones, you can be certain that there's probably some issues. This card does look a little off. Just going through, seeing if we see anything, how the centering looks, how the edges look, the corners. Card doesn't look too great. See some edge wear there. Corners aren't too bad, but let's take a look at the back. You can see a lot more edge wear there. It's a lot easier to see on these cards on the back, usually with condition it's in. So judging by how these corners and the edges look, I'd say this is definitely not going to be a 10. But we'd keep going through, looking through different cards you find. It's going to be quite difficult to get some of these older cards in 10s just because they are so old, have been used so much. So just really try and customize what you're looking for. You can try for some promo cards. Try and get some newer ones like this Pikachu for, since it's a Pokemon Center stamp, it's a lot rarer, hence the price. But typically a lot of these higher expected value ones are due to them being a lot older. And then for the PSA 9 to CGC 10, this CGC 10 rate, again, like previously, will help change your expected profit or expected value. But what this is looking at the PSA 9 price, your CGC 10 price, and then your pristine price, and calculating your value based off of that. I would say it's probably going to be quite difficult to go from a PSA 9 to a pristine. I think 15% is probably very generous. I'd still go for maybe 5% if you find something very lucky. But let's look at this one for example. This Greninja 117 is only $50 in a PSA 9, but a CGC 10 is $1,250 and a pristine is $2,700. So let's look at a PSA 9, see if one even comes up. So no 2019 Greninja 117s and a PSA 9 came up. So this is what we're working with. So plenty of copies. But let's look at some sold items just to see if those values are even correct. Yeah, so we do have a 9 sold for 500. Okay, so then the PSA 9 price for that is way off. Gem 10 3750, PSA 9 175. So you still definitely have to be careful because they are tons of different data points and some things clearly can get mumbled together. You do have to do your research then for each of these that you find. If something looks too good to be true, which this, I mean, looks pretty crazy going from a $50 card to possibly over $1,000. You just got to make sure that there's enough listings and it's even accurate. But you can still continue to go through, find what you like, start researching more. The profitable CGC opportunities. So this is listing a price that is below market. I don't know if this is actually that great because I feel like the market is fairly efficient. That'd be pretty hard to scoop some of these up if they're actually out there and available. Because if that really is the market price, someone's undercutting. I mean, a lot of these are in the thousands, so that's probably part of the difference. But it'd be fairly efficient and, you know, is it really worth picking up a $1,700 card to make possibly $82? That's up to you, but I think that's quite a bit of money to put up to hopefully make a little more. And then with the trends page, you just get to see different percent changes for the raw prices, PSA 10 prices. Again, you get to you can filter by sets, specific cards, change all sorts of different pricing filters, hide new sets which are, usually very volatile, so it's good to exclude those. And you can sort based on how much they're moving. There are usually some quite large outliers, so you do have to be careful and just make sure to look at any listings. PSA gem rates. Now this page is pretty good to use because they just carry in all of the percent gem rates, and it's like a better version of the grading tab because it's using the actual gem rates for the cards versus just what you expect to be, for example, in the CGC case. So these are a lot more accurate in terms of expected value, or in this case, estimated profit. And again, you can change your profit range, change your raw price range, sales volume, grading cost, fees, etc. I am in a premium account currently, so I am able to sort, export to CSV, export eBay searches if I wanted to further analyze those in some Excel sheets. There's also some practice guides. If you want to try these out, you can. For example, this Mew. Let's see, this looks pretty decent centering. It's a little left heavy, a little bit of whitening in the corners, but yeah, I'd probably buy it. And incorrect. Okay, so let's go whitening. Yeah. All right. Well, that's about it. I can definitely get more detailed, but if this helped you out or if you have any more questions, feel free to let me know. And if this video helped you, feel free to give a like on the video. Thank you.